How would you like to 10x your conversion rates with conversational AI? In today's episode with Chris Lamorte. So, Chris, tell us, how can entrepreneurs increase their conversion rate so they can make more sales with conversational AI?
AI Superwoman podcast with Lili Patashku shares the world's most innovative AI tools and processes to go from technophobe to AI pro, attract leads, close sales, automate your business, enhance productivity, and deploy AI agents to do your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at conversion rates, or really just, which is, for people who don't know, it's increasing the percentage of web visitors that actually turn into a sale or lead or whatever it is that your goal is. But there's a lot of different ways we go about that. But what we do at Strictly AI is we are really focused on the AI portion. So we've created what we call conversational websites. And what that does is it gives every single visitor a unique experience that's personalized to them. So instead of having to hunt through and try to find, search through all your content, trying to find whatever information it is they're looking for, sometimes it's dozens of pages, they just simply ask what they're looking for, and then they get exactly what they're looking for in the format that they're looking for, and it's in a visual, more compelling and interactive way.
Oh, that's fascinating. Give us an example of how this would work for, let's say, my publishing business. So I have a publishing business where I publish books of entrepreneurs and CEOs, and then I do websites for them. And then I find them speaking opportunities. And my intention behind that is to elevate their brand so they can be famous, so they can attract more of the kind of clients that they desire. Give me an example of how this would work with a client like mine.
Yeah, so in your business, it kind of depends on what your goal is. But so if your main goal is to get signups, so basically what we would look at when we're looking at a different business is we look at your sales process, what your strong points are, and what that, I guess, really what points you're highlighting and what pain points you're treating. And we basically put that into an interactive AI-driven flow so that it's essentially taking them through that same journey or a journey similar to it. So I'll give you an example. And this is a little bit different than what you were talking about, but we work with a lot of health and wellness companies. So for instance, with a health and wellness company, it might be somebody just comes in and they say, hey, my head hurts. And then the AI responds, okay, well, we actually don't treat headaches. We recommend you go there. Or if they say, I have back pain, and the practice does treat that condition, it'll say, yeah, absolutely, we can help. Here are some possible causes, or here are some common causes. And then also contact us and book an appointment right here, and we can help you with that. So there's a few different ways to go about it. We also have different, I guess I'm trying to think of the non-technical term, but it's basically a more interactive flow where somebody could even upload their blood results to one of these websites, and it analyzes, so a screenshot of their blood test results, and it actually analyzes the results, comes back and says, hey, you have high, or I don't know, you're low in vitamin D. I'll just say that as an example. And so we notice that, we recommend you book an appointment. So the main point of it is it's a free flowing conversation. These are not pre-built. So it gives the user the freedom to pretty much ask whatever question they want. So whatever your frequently asked questions are, it can answer those on your behalf. And it can also but more than that, it can actually display it in a more visual way. So it can actually show an image of your book and have a little add to cart button that, the user can just click on.
Okay. So let's say if we were to use this to sell books, what kind of workflow would you implement to make this happen?
So with the book sales, I guess I would ask what type of so I'd start by asking what what types of questions people typically ask. I'll be honest, so we haven't had much of people in your industry. We've had a lot of B2B companies, a lot of health and wellness type companies, but we haven't really had many of those types.
Okay,
business.
let's take an example of companies you've worked. Give me an example of, let's say, 3 case studies of how they used the conversational AI in order to multiply their sales. Is it that mainly they were used to first kind of like diagnose what the problem is with the AI, and then from there, the main suggestion was either, okay, book yourself into this calendar, into the, the calendar of the, like the admin person or the whatever specialist was, and pay here, by the way? Or was it a case of, buy this, I don't know, supplement, because based on your, I don't know, deficiency of iron or whatever, it looks like you should be taking, I don't know, 3 times a day, these iron pills, something like that?
Yeah, so it's more like it's more like that. So it's more like say I'm going on there. I don't know what's going on. So I'm on a health and wellness website, and it's a functional medicine provider because we deal with a lot of those. So if I go in there and I say, hey, I have X, Y, and Z, is low on my blood test results, and I'm really struggling with fatigue. I've been having a lot of weight loss. I'm having these problems. It can actually respond and say, hey, these are some of the supplements we recommend. It can encourage them to book appointment. It depends on what the person's actual goal is. But the thing is it's actually going to show on the screen. It's not going to just tell you, hey, try these supplements. It's going to actually show you the supplements on the screen. And it can have pictures of the supplements. It can have like little short descriptions of each one, and you can add to cart right from that assistance, right from that AI interface. You don't have to like go anywhere else. It's not linking you anywhere. You can pretty much buy directly from the AI assistance. It's fully integrated into the website. The entire website is conversational.
Okay, tell us, how can someone build that, or is that your personal IP that you cannot share?
So we do have a platform, so people can request early access through our website, but basically, the easiest way is through our platform, honestly. So we have a lot of proprietary AI that's built into our tech. And what that basically does is it takes existing AI models and makes it better at doing this specific task. So it makes it better at doing sales on your behalf. It makes it better at answering questions and knowing like when to output certain information. And the really cool part is when it's talking to customers, when it's interfacing with them, it's actually testing different conversation styles, different headlines. And so it's basically doing your testing for you. So it's always improving over time. And so because there's so much that has gone into it on our side, the easiest way is people can sign up using our platform and they can build it pretty easily. We have a nice, we've worked really hard to make the process as simple as we can, where you can pretty much just put in your website. It goes through, grabs all of the information and kind of guides you through setting up these workflows. But overall, it's pretty much just you put in your existing website, you can upload brochures or any type of content that you have, and it trains the AI on your specific business so that it can answer questions on your behalf. And then you can customize it through a few settings. It's really not that difficult. And then, you pretty much just customize it and configure it the way you want, and it's good to go.
Thank you. Have you got any like early results on the conversions that were able to be achieved as a result of using conversational AI websites?
Yeah, so we've had people increase their conversion rates as much as like 300%. Like we had one that was actually a plumber, which I said this, I was talking to somebody else. I was actually surprised because I didn't think that plumber would be a good case study for us, because I just thought that their business is more like, oh yeah, you just go to the website and you call the number. It's really simple. But we actually did implement the conversational AI, and their workflow was, it was a little bit more straightforward. It was just, you go to the website, say what it is you're looking for, like, my faucet's leaking or whatever it is. And then it takes you to the contact form, gives you the contact information, and guides you towards booking that appointment. But yeah, like that guy actually, he had about a 500% increase in conversion rates, which was really surprising that he was able to do that, but it was good.
Thank you. Tell us why this method of using conversational AI websites works a lot better than a traditional website that has, let's say, 10, 20 pages.
It's because it's simpler. Because I think one of the most overlooked things is simplicity, removing friction from the process of whatever it is you're doing, signing up, booking an appointment. And so you want that to be as frictionless as possible. The more people have to search for information, the more work you create for them, the less likely it is they're going to do that. So, we guide our customers through the process, and we always tend to give advice. But one of the big things is breaking up. Like, so if you have a lot of questions on a form, for instance, with the conversational AI, it asks each question one at a time. So you're collecting just a little bit of information each time. And so by breaking it up, it makes it more likely that the person is actually going to complete and fill out all of their information, for instance.
Thank you. So what's the, you can say, what kind of companies is this suited for?
So health and wellness is a big one for us and the reason is because they have so functional medicine, chiropractors, there's a hormone replacement clinic, stuff like that. And it's because they have a ton of conditions that they treat and a ton of different treatment options for each one. So because there's so much information, that's a really good use for it. Another one is B2B companies. So like CPAs, we've been getting a lot of those recently, which has been interesting. Anytime your business requires education towards your customer, it can be a good fit because that education process is a lot easier because they're not just sitting there reading. They're actually having a conversation. So one of the other things, one of the features we implemented is voice. So if I'm on my phone and I'm on one of these conversational websites, I can literally just talk to it and it's showing me stuff on the screen, talking back to me as if I were talking to a person. So it's almost as if a live salesperson is giving you a full-on presentation, but using AI.
Thank you. How does someone distinguish a conversational AI website from a normal website? Like, for example, let's say in the past, I used to have like a chatbot for all of my websites, and I did notice an improvement in terms of number of leads captured. And then for some reason, I kind of stopped doing that. Like a marketing person advised me to remove that because it's too many options and so on. But it was not an AI chatbot. It was a chatbot that had like preset questions, very limited. It was like just name, email, phone number, and then like, what's your problem, basically. And I was able to know, for example, which country they were coming from. So that was quite interesting for me, just as a fun fact. But of course, it was not like an adaptable AI conversation, chatbot. It was like a static, like a manual one that had preset stuff inserted into it. So how do people know that actually they are able to have their questions answered by this AI? Is it because what's the structure? I mean, like for the website, is it just like name, email, and whatever? Like, how do people know that they're supposed to actually ask questions to the AI?
So we make it pretty obvious. So there's a floating chat bar at the bottom of the screen, and it's especially apparent on mobile, which most people use anyways. But when you're on the mobile device, there's a bar at the bottom of the screen that kind of floats with it, and you have these you can pretty much ask a question with one click. So what we advise customers to do is the most commonly asked questions, like get a quote or what services you offer, things like that. Pricing can just be right there in those one-click questions, so they don't even have to ask; they just click a button. But we make it really obvious. There's other interactive icons that you can click on that will activate it as well. But basically the entire website is centered around this conversational element. So there's really only, and I do agree with that advice, by the way, if you have too many that you mentioned, if you have too many options, too many call to actions, it can confuse the customers and it can actually hurt your conversions. So with these types of websites, all of it is centered towards the conversational element. So there really is only one way to go. So because it's not your typical website that has a little chat widget embedded in the corner, like with strictly these conversational websites, the entire website is the chatbot. So the entire website is interactive, personalized, conversational, all of it. So it's I guess that's the best way I can say it, is there really is only one way to go. And the way we structure it and the way we architect them, the call to actions, all of them point towards having this conversational element.
Thank you. So basically the content that is generated by the AI chatbot is that the AI's interpretation of it, almost like you're talking to ChatGPT kind of thing? Or how would you know that the content that the AI chatbot is actually accurate and it represents the views of the company?
Yeah, so that's the first stage of when people are setting it up, is the training process. So they're essentially getting their own custom AI that's trained on their business data. So it has a certain level of basic knowledge, like mainly around language, like punctuation, grammar, stuff like that. But you can and there's a set, like for the AI people out there, there's a setting called temperature when it comes to AI, and that's basically saying how much risk, how creative can the AI get. And so if you have the temperature low, then it's going to be very conservative and only give answers that are directly referenced in the resource material that it's been trained on. If you set it high, it can take liberties, I guess you could say. But to answer your question, all of the information that it is referencing has been given to it by the customer. So it can collect this information by crawling their existing website if they have one. They can upload brochure material. They can upload pretty much anything, text documents, even email conversations. They can upload. So anything Q&A. And so basically you can set it to where it will only answer a question if it is directly, very plainly stated in the content that it's been trained on. Otherwise, it'll just simply say, unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that. Here, you can contact us here, and it'll display a contact form on the screen.
Okay, so that's a good way for you to avoid errors and even getting your company in trouble, right?
Yeah, and we've worked hard to put safeguards in place to eliminate, they're called hallucinations in the world of AI when it makes up data. So we've put a series of safeguards in place to prevent that, especially when we're dealing with things like healthcare. It's a very sensitive issue. And so what we want to make sure, like in that scenario, we want to make sure it doesn't go out giving medical advice. It's only, going to say, hey, like these are common causes. Book an appointment for more information, and it gives them a little bit of broad general information. Like we don't want the AI giving medical advice or any trying to give diagnosis. Sorry, I think it.
Sorry, I remember that at a certain point I had added my chatbot to my website, and it had like a lot of different options, like what would you like to publish a book, to create a book cover, to design something, and all these different, like to edit my book and all these different things. And tell me a little bit more about how that differs from the conversational AI website. Like, how does it look in terms of like, for example, at the moment, let's say you have my normal website, and then you have on the right-hand side the AI chatbot that would send, these, preset conditions of, okay, what would you like, and it has like maybe like 20 different options. And then from there, people kind of tend to choose. And then at some point it will say, schedule an appointment with Lily, and how does that differ versus your conversational AI websites, where the AI kind of tends to adapt to what the person is asking? But in terms of like structure, how does it look different?
So with the conversational website, there's no chat widget embedded, like in the bottom right is not what you normally see where there's a chat widget. There's none of that. It's actually just a bar at the bottom. So usually what it'll look like is when you go on a website, it'll say, give some basic information, say, what can we help you with? And there'll be a few options, but the thing I want to stress is it's all visual. And so when you continue down the path, so like say I want more information about book publishing, it can actually show me a more visual presentation of what that looks like. So it's not going to just give me some blanket information and boring text. It can give me a better designed, with more imagery, background colors. It can basically be much better designed in a way that's actually going to be appealing to the end user. So if I look for information, it's going to be a very well designed a widget that it's showing, where it's going to, it can have like a picture of a book, it can have a contact form, it can have a pricing table, it can pretty much have any of these different things. And so it's going to be, it's a very visual experience. And then also what I want to make sure I stress is that this is actually also a testing mechanism. So it's also basically testing different types. The AI is what I'm referring to. The AI is also testing different types of content in real time to see what is performing best. So it might try two different ways of saying things to do two different people, and then it prioritizes which answer was the most effective, so that it's always improving over time. So this is a much more sophisticated version of a traditional chatbot in that it's not pre-programmed. It's a much more free-flowing conversation. It's much more natural. People can talk through voice, and it's more visual. So it really is like that feel of like you're getting a real-time sales presentation.
Thank you. So I think, for example, at the moment, my website looks something like this. On the left-hand side, it says like become an iconic brand in 90 days with, marketing, branding, and something else. And then below that, it mentions, for example, like all the different media where I was featured. Then it has like a video. Then it has like, schedule an appointment with Lily. And then it has some of my case studies. How would a conversational AI website look like in terms of like what you would actually have on it, aside from the bar that mentions, like talk to me, the AI chatbot? What does it have on it?
You can have whatever you want. It depends on the business's personal preference, but we try to keep it simple, I guess is what I'd say, because the more information you have instantly, the more overwhelmed people can get, and the less likely it is that they're going to stay. So the big thing is it's only giving them exactly what they're looking for, and that's it. So if I'm looking for information about book publishing, for example, I don't need to see all of the other content because I'm only here for book publishing. So I click on that, and then everything I see from then on out is going to be written to me within the context of book publishing. Now, of course, if I want to ask about another topic, I can, but basically it's much more simple than a traditional website because it is only giving me the information I want, and that's it, nothing else. And the one-click options where I can continue the conversation are always changing. They're also there's like suggested replies that are also generated with AI, so that I don't necessarily have to type every single time. I can just, like, if there's commonly asked questions or asked follow-up questions, I can just one-click on those. So it's just, in general, it's just a much more simpler, easy to use.
Thank you. So let's say someone who came to my website, instead of maybe finding like a picture of me and all the other things that I mentioned, it would be mainly like book publishing done for you, and then ask your question here. And then maybe the person would ask, okay, so how can you help me publish my book? And then like some sort of visual, video presentation would come up and say, Lily can do this and that because she has done this with this many other people, and these are the kind of results that they've had. And this is all something that's being created by the AI chatbot there and then. Is that how it works?
So usually, so what we'll typically do is when you first land on a page, the initial content is going to be static content. So it's just going to be the same. Now we do implement, and this is where it gets kind of complicated, where we also will implement testing, like with the headings, for instance, and we can fine tune that as well because, we're really big on testing. But to keep it simple, we'll stick with the basic setup, which is just the initial content when I first land on your website is going to be the same every time. Everything after that is going to be personalized to me. So what we typically recommend is a captivating headline, subheading, something like that. Social proof is really big, like you mentioned, the feature, like where I've been featured. So usually it's something really simple like that. For our local business customers, it might be their Google reviews that they show off, like, oh yeah, we have 500 plus 5-star Google reviews. So usually it is something like that. But we try to keep it as simple as possible. So it'll be, a very short introduction of who you are, what you do, some social proof to show that you're legitimate, and then some options of how to continue. And you can, and I also want to add that although the content is AI generated, you can save and continue to train it on certain answers. So if you don't, during the testing or the QA phase, if you don't like the way it's answering certain questions, you can essentially just edit the questions and train it so that anytime it encounters that question again or something like it, it now knows how to answer it properly so it doesn't make that mistake in the future.
Thank you. What else would you like people to know about conversational AI websites?
I would just say that our average conversion rate optimization increase so far has been anywhere from 50 to 250% increase in conversions within the first 90 days. So it's incredibly effective. It's the future. And I think now is a great time if you're trying to get ahead of your competitors and really stand out. There's no better time than now.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can find you.
So it's just strictly strictly.ai.
Thank you.
Follow me for more AI productivity tools.